Hello and welcome to Rise and Shine. I'm Abhushan Gautam. In today's day and age, the global market is constantly being disrupted by a wave of innovations in the digital world. In fact, it would not be wrong to say that innovation, technology and digital growth have become indispensable tools for any nation to achieve economic growth and prosperity. Now, given our very recent and early stage in growth of IT infrastructure and industries, it has become necessary for Nepal to catch up with this rush in digital transformation and growth. So to talk about what digital transformation means for a least developed country like Nepal and how we can get there, we have invited Mr. Manoj Menon to our studio today. Manoj is a senior partner and Asia Pacific Managing Director at the Frost & Sullivan, which is a global market research and consulting firm. Now, throughout his tenure there, Manoj has consulted on various growth strategic projects for leading multinational companies, regulators and governing bodies, providing growth workshops and client councils, among others. He's also today one of the region's most sought-after speakers and thought leaders. Welcome to Rise and Shine, Mr. Manoj.
Thank you. Delighted and such a pleasure to be here.
All right. First of all, let us kick off this conversation by talking about what brings you to Nepal in the first place. So what's the purpose behind your visit?
So Frost & Sullivan is super thrilled. We opened our offices here very recently, and we have a team now here which supports our regional work. And we decided we should also be hosting an event to bring all our customers and talk about some of the best practices in growth, innovation, and leadership. So we hosted our flagship event, which is called Growth, Innovation, Leadership, or GIL in short. We hosted that in Kathmandu yesterday, and this is we do this globally in most of our offices. We have done it in 23 other cities around the world, and Kathmandu was the 23rd city which hosted it yesterday, and that was the primary reason for the visit. And we're thrilled that we could have conversations with senior leaders, business leaders in Nepal. We also brought people from outside of Nepal to share their learnings and experiences, to together have conversations on how we can prepare Nepal for the future.
All right, now let's please give us a bit of background on what Frost & Sullivan does and what it's trying to achieve.
Sure. Frost & Sullivan is a growth consulting company. We are focused on helping our customers prepare for the future. Okay. That is our mission. And we help with the vision and strategy. We help with understanding technology and intellectual property. We help in what we call as brand and demand, helping companies and governments and countries position themselves correctly in the global marketplace. Those are the value propositions that Frost & Sullivan has for its customers. Okay. So we have been established in 1961. We are now a 55-year-old company, and we are so thrilled that we have this opportunity to open an office here, and we see there's a lot that Nepal has to offer to the world, and that is one of the primary motivations for us to be here in this country.
All right, now going back to the Growth, Innovation and Leadership Summit, the reason why you're here, and the important topic of digital transformation, what does digital transformation actually comprise of, and why is it so important for countries, developing countries or least developed nations like Nepal?
We have had several waves of business or industry revolutions over the last 150 years. We started off with the steam engine, and the steam engine made it possible for people to traverse large distances very effectively, and that enabled growth of countries. Right? Then you had the Industrial Revolution, which could say was pioneered by Henry Ford in many ways. We made manufacturing so automated and so efficient that we could bring the cost of products down, and that drove economies for several years. Somewhere in late 1980s, early 90s, we had the IT revolution, in which we started automating processes, and IT brought about efficiencies in the way we're doing it. Now we are entering what we call as this digital revolution or digital transformation. And what is so exciting about this is, traditionally, we used to always look at linear incremental growth for our businesses or countries. So you would come up with a business plan and say, hey, I'll go 5%, 10%, 15% every year if you are a great company. What this digital transformation has enabled, or digital imperative, or we call it Industry 4.0, we can see non-linear growth. Wow. We can see exponential growth in a very short period of time.
Disruptive.
Yeah, it is not linked to how much resources you deploy. You can have disproportionate growth vis-a-vis the resources you deploy. Right? And you take examples of the companies. WhatsApp has maybe less than a few hundred employees. Yet they serve 7 billion customers around the world and with an incredible valuation, and they provide incredible service to people around the world. Yeah. It is renovated to zero cost for SMS, zero cost for voice services, and disrupting telecom companies around the world. WhatsApp doesn't have a single employee, I'm sure, in Nepal, and yet it is posing a big challenge to somebody like Ncell and other operators.
Exactly.
Right? Same is happening with Uber. What we have seen is Uber's market cap or valuation today is far greater than Ford and GM, right? And they don't own many assets. So they have seen exponential growth. So we really want to understand, what does this digital transformation mean for a country like Nepal? How do we catapult ourselves into a new wave of economic growth? And I think that is what the fantastic opportunity that is ahead available for us.
You talked about how there was this trend of linear growth and how industrialization took it off in the first place. But looking at Nepal's history, we have had a very poor track record of industrialization and the growth of IT.
Yes.
In fact, we're very early in the stage of IT growth and industrialization.
Correct.
Add to that the current political context. If you go back just a decade back, we've had this decade-long insurgency, then the overthrow of monarchy, the constant flurry of political changes that's happening. Do you think, in the backdrop of all this, is Nepal ready for a digital growth?
See, I think the good thing about digital is technology is moving faster than what even politicians or regulators are able to do. Technology, there was no regulation for WhatsApp, and it has become a global telecom service provider. Right? Uber was launched globally. In many countries, they did not apply for any taxi licenses. So the power of technology is that it is creating new value propositions that politicians, regulators, and others will struggle to keep pace with. And I think that is the promise. While I think Nepal has been through the toughest period in terms of the challenges, but now I believe we now have a better constitution. We have a chance. All the groundwork has been laid, and I think the power of digital is that it can happen despite any political intervention. Yes, one basic requirement is to create that digital infrastructure. We need to make sure that access to the internet is a fundamental right for every Nepali citizen. If we can do that, and we can make sure good high-speed connectivity is available, Nepal will be connected to the global economy. And the sooner it gets connected to the global economy, every single person in Nepal will be able to participate in it. We will be able to find our own unique value proposition in the global marketplace. Today we have built a huge wall limiting these people from being connected to the global market, which is the digital market. So if there is anything that the politicians and the private sector can do, is, let's build the digital infrastructure for the country at a frantic pace.
Yeah. You talked about infrastructure. Definitely digital growth requires massive IT infrastructure, technology infrastructure. To fund all this, do you think Nepal can, at least developed nation like Nepal, can afford all this?
The good news is the cost of technology is dropping dramatically at a very frantic pace. You may recollect, when the mobile phone was launched, it used to cost $1,000, $2,000 for a simple phone which did not even have any touch screen, any capabilities. Today, you have great devices for $25, $30, $50, $100. So the cost of technology is going down. There are great new business models coming in. Companies are willing to offer services for free in return for the time and the data and the information that we are providing to them. So I don't think there is it's not about a shortage of funds to help drive it. There are innovative business model approaches. There are companies like Google and Facebook who equally aspire to make sure that every citizen on this planet is connected. Right? There are projects like Google Balloon, etc., which are to enable connectivity at a broader scale. So I don't think the cost of technology is as much a limiting factor. I think it is the discipline of action and making sure that we can execute the plans that is more critical.
Talking about digital innovation, it involves, innovation means ideas. And when we talk about ideas, you talk about youths, young people of the country.
Yes.
In all the backdrop of all these challenges, I'm sure you've come across this earlier as well. A lot of Nepali youths are living abroad.
Yes.
And we've had this sort of brain drain, outgoing skills going out of the country. Do you think that is going to pose a challenge in this growth?
I think it is a challenge. We have suffered because we did not present enough opportunities to the youth to come back and participate very effectively in the global marketplace, or to work on new exciting ideas, which is what the youth wants to do. Right? But the more we get connected, they will come back. And we have seen that happen in India. The more India got connected, many Indians who worked in other parts of the world, either brought their companies back to India to invest in India, or they themselves moved back because they see a fantastic opportunity of growth. The economic growth of India is now far exceeding many other countries, and it presents a huge opportunity for many Indians. I think the same will happen in Nepal. It's such a beautiful country. It has got so much to offer. It is, I believe, a well-kept secret. We don't talk enough about the positives. One of the big learnings for me yesterday is that we are far too critical about ourselves. And as a result, we don't do enough in promoting the great things that this country has to offer. It is next to two very big neighbors. It can cater and has good relationship with both neighbors, and there is so much of an opportunity. Every Nepali company need not think I only serve 29 million customers. They can serve 2.5 billion customers around it. So I think the opportunity is there, and the more we get connected, the faster it will happen, and we will see. There was a term mentioned yesterday. I think it is Dr. Upendra Mahato who said we will see brain rain happening in this country. Wow. Brain rain happening in this country very soon, and I think I can see that happen provided we provide the right platform.
Okay.
If you ask people around the world, Nepalese around the world, would they like to come and live here? The answer is, they will say yes, but I would like to see that I can have the right quality of jobs. I can have power supply in my home. I will not see blackouts happen. I think we need to put that enabling basic infrastructure in place, and I think that can drive this.
So there is also this huge challenge of bridging the gap between in terms of population, there is this tech-savvy population in Kathmandu, which is more of centralized.
Yes.
And then there is this largely remote area. Is that gap going to present another challenge as well?
I think that is it's a very good question, and many global challenges are addressed by large global companies like the Googles and the Amazons and the Apples of this world, Facebooks of this world. This opportunity to bridge the requirement which is so specific to a country, either in terms of the language or in context of the hilly terrain and the lack of enough digital information, presents an opportunity to young entrepreneurs in Nepal. Because now you can work on addressing those unmet needs in Nepal. We have an opportunity now for young entrepreneurs in Nepal to say, hey, how do I bridge this gap? What can I do to make tourism in Nepal safer, better, and more addressable to a global population? For such a beautiful country, and I'm sure for many people in the world, Nepal is a must-visit destination once in their life, and yet we have less than 1 million tourists every year. Clearly, I'm sure there is an opportunity to unlock and put some digital innovation to spread this message, to provide assurance on safety, good quality of service, as well as an experiential tourism that this country has to offer. So I think those are the unmet needs that I believe are growth opportunities for entrepreneurs. I see it more as a positive rather than as a challenge.
I'm sure you have interacted with the stakeholders in the private sector here and the government officials. There's this another huge gap between the private sector that's saying we're willing to invest, we're willing to work, and then the government, which is completely mired in other political wranglings and other debates, and so much not focused on development issues. So how do you bridge that gap as well?
We need everybody to work together. There was a great session yesterday at the forum. It was we had the great opportunity of inviting a former cabinet minister from Malaysia, Datuk Sri Idris Jala, and he talked about economic transformation. He talked about how we need to create a winning coalition. A winning coalition between private sector and the public sector. And he said we have to, become pregnant with the idea. Get people together in a room and get pregnant with the idea, and then the only outcome is you have to deliver the baby. Right? So I thought it was a fantastic suggestion. He talked about creating labs, wherein which you bring the private sector, you bring in the public sector, because I think inherently everybody knows what needs to be done. Master plans have been created. It's about prioritizing these requests and creating a framework that can operate independent of who is in power. And if we can put that framework in place, Nepal has a lot of goodwill among countries, several countries in this world. There is a lot of aid money that is not being utilized.
Exactly.
So if that basic framework is in place, I'm sure this will happen. I also believe, whether the political environment does it or not, the good news is digital transformation will make this happen. Because we have seen now, we have seen with the US elections as well, people are upset and they are demanding a change. They want a change in status quo. And we will see that happen. So I'm sure, the people in political environments are listening, watching this very carefully, because it's a huge opportunity for them to actually leverage what we call as an active citizenry, participation of citizens to solve these problems. That is also a big enablement of digital transformation.
Talking about where, like, present practical context, what are the promising areas do you see in Nepal that Nepal can embrace digital growth to spearhead its economic prosperity?
Yeah, number one, clearly, big area of focus should be education.
Education.
Yeah, today it was an eye-opener for me as well. Nepal spends more money on overseas education than many other countries in the world. Nepal is potentially, I was told, the fourth largest base of students who go to the US every year for education. Right? So much of that education money can be spent within this country. It's a great country to bring in global institutions, and people around the world would be very excited to come and study in an environment like this. So clearly that is an opportunity. Tourism, as I said, it is shocking that for such a beautiful country, you have less than 700,000-800,000 tourists a year. Right? There were some young entrepreneurs. We had a think tank yesterday, and they said, we need one tourist for every Nepali by 2025. That means we need 29 million tourists in this country. Unfortunately, our infrastructure is not ready. How can we make that possible? Right? So tourism is another great opportunity. We see some innovation possible. The third idea which came out of the think tank is, with this digital disruption, all 29 million Nepalis can become a bank. Everybody can be a bank. I thought that was a very powerful idea. Wow. Right? How we can enable and empower each other. How do we leverage the trust that the digital system provides for us to co-create better value? We need basic banking credit services available to every single person in this country, and that can drive an accelerated economic transformation. Clearly, we have a big challenge with energy and power. Right? Good news is the cost of solar PV cells are going down dramatically. Battery technology is improving. Visionaries like Elon Musk are developing great technology. He's talking about putting, changing the rooftops of California.
Just recently.
Yeah, I think maybe he's going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to replace old technology with new technology in California. I think I would like to request that he spend his time changing the rooftops of Nepal, where there is an immediate opportunity and a burning need to serve and create and to bring simple basic requirements, meet the requirements of every household in Nepal. So I think that is again a fantastic opportunity to create a connected, new way of serving, building a smart grid system within this country. Right? So that is another fantastic opportunity. Clearly, the road infrastructure, we have a huge problem. We need to upgrade that. I can see every trip I make here, the traffic gets worse and worse. So we need some smart mobility systems that can come in. And the final thing which I would like to talk about is Nepalese have served global communities in providing security services and working in factories around the world. In the digital environment, I believe we need to train ourselves to offer cybersecurity services. Right? Okay. There's a lot of trust and goodwill for Nepal in this world. The Nepalese are treated as they are the most trustworthy people in this world. How do you leverage that trust in a digital environment? We don't need to physically go there to provide that service anymore. It can be provided from this country, right? So I think the next wave of these digital services can be provided from this country if the connectivity is there. So I think that is again a very fantastic opportunity. We got to leverage the goodwill we have, the trust that we have, the wonderful location that we have, and find our rightful place in the global economy. I think that those are, great. Very few countries can say all these things, and I hope we'll be able to, find some young entrepreneurs who will pick up these ideas and work with it and help us find the rightful place in the global marketplace.
Lastly, before we end this conversation, given that Nepal successfully adopts all these strategic initiatives, where do you see Nepal in the next 10 or maybe 20 years?
It's my hope. I think I've interacted, there was a business accelerator initiative yesterday, and we saw a lot of youth presenting brilliant ideas. And I can tell you, the ideas are as good as they come in any part of the world. We were very inspired with some ideas in the biotech industry, in the education industry. So that gives us hope that the next 10, 15 years, the unmet needs here are far greater. The sense of urgency to solve these problems here are far greater than in other parts of the world. We perform our best when our backs are to the wall. And therefore, I feel a lot more optimistic that these unmet needs offer an incredible opportunity for the next wave of entrepreneurs. Yes, GDP growth is an important indicator of success. But more importantly, the goal is we need to make sure we get affordable education to everybody, affordable healthcare to everybody, and a clean environment. We may not want to chase an industrial growth at the expense of creating a bad environment. Nepal has a lot to offer in tourism. We don't want to necessarily follow China's model of setting up factories here. So I think those would be the three basic aspirations that I think we should strive to meet. That would be a good achievement. I believe as you walk down the streets of Kathmandu, and it is not me, it is my colleague from China who mentioned, I see people are relatively smiling and happy. People are not hungry, right? So I think we can make this a slightly better place. And I think the road, that train has left the station and it is going to roll, irrespective of whether we try to stymie it, stop it in any other way. So I think that is my hope, and I believe more importantly from a Frost & Sullivan context, I hope that we can create a few hundred jobs in Nepal that will be served. Nepal will be serving the globe from this location, be it in Kathmandu or in other parts of the world. That is our hope and desire to achieve.
Well, we wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to our studio today, Mr. Manoj.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure having you here.
Same here. Thank you very much.
All right, that was Manoj Menon, Senior Partner and Asia Pacific Managing Director at the Frost & Sullivan. We talked about a very important topic of digital transformation, what it means for a least developed nation like Nepal, the challenges involved in implementing digital growth and ways to overcome them. Well, that's all for this edition of Rise and Shine. Do keep watching Kantipur Television. Have a great day.